Namaskar and welcome. You're watching a late edition, and tonight on the show, well, it's the D-Day in American politics and they call it Super Tuesday. Candidates bidding for their party's ticket in November US presidential polls face their biggest test in Super Tuesday primaries, and as 12 states cast their votes for candidates from Republic or Democratic parties, or perhaps both, in a contest which is seen as make or break for all the hopefuls. After earlier votes in 4 states, Donald Trump is closely pitted against Democrat Hillary Clinton. Here's all that you need to know firstly about what Super Tuesday is all about. Well, it's called Super Tuesday and it's a big day for US politics. 12 states in America make decisions on who they will back to become their candidate for the next US president. Big names in the fray with very closely fought contest between two main rival factions, Republicans and Democrats. Once all the states have voted, each party will have a single candidate who will then have the chance to campaign to take over from Barack Obama next January. What is Super Tuesday? It's the day when the most amount of primaries happen and can go a long way to keeping you in or knocking you out of the race to become president. Primaries stand for primary elections and allow people to vote on which candidate they think should be on the ballot paper for their party in the US election in November. Some states have a caucus instead. That's when party members decide on the best candidate in meetings. The 12 states involved are Alaska, Alabama, Arkansas, Colorado, Georgia, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont and Virginia. Most American polls take place on Tuesday, while in the UK they tend to be on Thursdays. Why is it so important? Well, there are just two major parties in American politics, the Republicans and the Democrats. On Super Tuesday, the Republican candidates have the opportunity to win about half of the delegates needed to claim the nomination. And on the Democratic side, they can win roughly a third of the votes needed for the nomination. And here, votes are equal to delegates. The time people can vote is much shorter than the UK, and it's just a day, but polls normally close at 7 or 8 p.m. Most results come on Wednesday. On the Republican side, the 5 remaining candidates participating in Super Tuesday are businessman Donald Trump, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, Ohio Governor John Kasich, and retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson. On Democratic side, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton will face off against Vermont Senator 74-year-old Bernie Sanders. Mrs. Clinton, in fact, hopes to become the first female president of the US. And what makes Super Tuesday so super is the fact that after Donald Trump's resounding win in Nevada, the candidates are already shifting their focus to 1st of March on Super Tuesday, a flood of primaries squeezed into a single day. Super Tuesday can be a day of reckoning for campaigns, exposing candidates who can't compete on the national stage and instantly catapulting others to the nomination. And to discuss what Super Tuesday really means for the presidential hopefuls, and especially the road actually leading to the White House, and on the contentious issues that the Republicans and Democrats are actually fighting for and pitted against each other, we have a panelist on Late Edition tonight. We have with us Mr. B.S. Prakash. He is former senior diplomat with us. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And we're also joined by Mr. K.P. Nair, consulting editor at The Telegraph. Mr. Prakash, let me quickly start with you. If one has to believe or perhaps analyze the recent opinion polls, Trump is leading in 11 states, and contrary to the rejection that he had to face initially, and still there are voices within his own faction rivals against him. What are your initial reactions? How would you read into that? The opinion polls giving Trump a big trump for Republicans.
I think it's quite a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon in the sense that, as we know, Trump has already displaced 1 or 2 contenders. And in fact, one of the governors who was popular has endorsed Trump. For somebody who is a complete outsider, seen as an anti-establishment figure, he is impulsive, he is unpredictable, he is fiery. So he has come a long way. And I think American polls and American assessments of these are really based on a lot of statistical data as well. So apart from the fact that there seems to be, and we can discuss this further as we go along, there seems to be this huge appeal for a section of the electorate that he seems to exude. But apart from that, I think the fact is that he is leading by significant majorities. He is expected to consolidate his lead tomorrow, but we shall see. But as we talk today, a day before or hours before what is going to happen, I think he is in a very strong position. But what it represents, why it has been so, and what importance, I'm sure we will discuss.
But there's still open voices against Trump, Mr. Nair, if I may ask you. Now, Nebraska Senator, who is one of the highest ranked politicians there, well, he has openly, rejected his candidature. I mean, does all these anti-Trump voices make any difference as of now when we speak, because the Super Tuesday is just around the corner?
Well, the Republican establishment is still not reconciled to Trump candidacy. But, Sakal, you chose the choicest word as D-Day in American politics, because D-Day could stand for Donald, By the end of tomorrow, it could be Donald's Day.
No, it was not for the Donald Trump. It was just the D-Day for American politics.
Well, it's also, I must also say that if Trump is the candidate eventually, the D-Day could turn out to be Democrats' Day in November, because as I said, the party establishment, the Soviets would have said the apparatchiks are completely against Trump candidacy. We don't know how it will turn out at the convention, but by the end of tomorrow, we will have a little more clearer picture. But the ironic thing is that the Republican establishment, which is against Trump, has brought about this situation in a way, because last year they changed the rules for delegate count, For the first time this year, there is a system by which from each congressional district the delegates are proportionately allocated, which means apart from what goes by proportional representation until tomorrow, there are 500, for the first time in the history of the Republican primaries, there are 595 delegates who will be chosen under the new rules. This was done by the Republican establishment after the 2012 election, where they felt that Mitt Romney, the long process of primaries, damaged the Romney candidacy. This time they wanted to wrap up things quickly, and so that these 595 delegates could be allotted. And now this is what is more than Super Tuesday, more than tomorrow's delegate count, more than what has happened so far. It is this 595 delegates who may decide
the fate
Trump's
of the top
fate,
rivals. Having said that, Sir, Obama, we know, won 2 straight presidential races, and many believe, analysts in fact, believe that field is maybe slightly tilted towards Democrats, considering who is standing against Hillary Clinton. We're talking about Donald Trump.
Well, that we will have
Would
to
you
see.
agree?
I think these things acquire a momentum of their own. But if you were to see it objectively, I think this is a matter of assessment. This is a matter of judgment. But the American economy, in a sense, has recovered from what had happened in 1998. It is doing much better. There is reasonable growth in the economy. Unemployment is at an all-time low. Obama has managed to fulfill some of his promises, health care, for instance, in a sense bringing the wars, external engagements in Iraq and Afghanistan up to a point, and withdrawal. So there are many things that can be said in terms of what Obama has accomplished, and of course Hillary is certainly an establishment figure with the credentials. So if I were to really respond to your question of have the Democrats got a reputation, have they got something going for them, I would say yes. But that is not the mood in America. Despite all that I said, the mood in America seems to be one of anger, frustration, and more than anything else, polarization. So I think what we are going to see in this election, Trump or no Trump, Hillary or no Hillary, these are the 2 likely candidates, is complete polarization and neither of them really are really aiming at this stage for the centrist ground. And I don't think Trump is capable of really coming to this. So we are seeing all this frustration instead of a feeling of satisfaction with what Obama has done. What I said is what Obama, in my view, has done, but very few people are regarding it as a Obama legacy in that sense. That is another thing that we have to analyze.
And if Hillary is eyeing black voters from Alabama, Georgia, Virginia, from where she actually managed to grab that electorate, post her performance in South Carolina, how is this now going to pan out for her? Let's not forget that she didn't have much to talk about in New Hampshire. When there, Sanders managed to beat her there.
Well, part of the reason why Sanders managed to beat her there was because he's from the neighboring state. You know, Vermont is next door. So some of that was reflected in Sanders' popularity. But the black support for Hillary is not surprising. You know, when her husband Bill Clinton used to be president, he used to claim, and African Americans used to say, that Bill Clinton is the first black president of the United States, you know. He's traditionally enjoyed black support, and he's done a lot for the African Americans. But if I may, I would like to add a sentence or two to what Ambassador Prakash said. You know, America has done well. It has considerably recovered after the 2008 crisis, as Mr. Prakash said. Things are okay in the macro sense, but at the micro level, I think there is a lot of frustration. You know, there is this feeling that real incomes have fallen. Unemployment is low, but there is a sense of being dispossessed.
We'll talk about the issues separately, but since it's again Trump versus Hillary, we're talking about Hillary Clinton. So she's hoping heavily to build on this lead, sir, the lead she got in Carolina. We know that black Americans rather, polled heavily for her. So the confidence that she might have gained from that part of the primary.
No, at this stage of the game, I think let us be clear, both of them are engaged really in consolidating their candidature in terms of their own party. So it is not really Hillary versus Trump. The way they are taking their campaign forward, the way they are speaking, appealing, all that is just to make sure that they get the official nomination. Once that is done in their conventions,
the fight is head on.
Then it will go on. The fight now is within. So if you look at it that way, then in that fight within the Democratic Party, I think Hillary seems to be much more confident now than what she was with Bernie Sanders. I think this Tuesday vote, what is going to happen today, I think in all the southern states, because of the reasons Mr. Nair mentioned, the blacks are likely to vote for her. These are 12 states, and there are large states like Texas and so on. So I think from all predictions, she will consolidate the position or maybe get firm indications that she will be the Democratic nominee. That was always a possibility from the beginning. Now it seems more certain.
Certainty, yes.
On the Republican side, there was greater competition between Trump and Rubio and Ted Cruz and all these people. But now clearly Trump is leading, and Ted Cruz and Rubio are, let's say, 2 or 3, or both of them are at number 2 position. So Trump's main challenge tomorrow is again nothing to do with the Democratic Party, nothing to do with the national elections.
But it's again Ted versus Trump in Texas, which is Ted's home state.
But it is really to get the Republican nomination. And there, of course, as we discussed earlier and as Mr. Nair pointed out, there is a lot of dissatisfaction within the Republican establishment because Trump is an anti-establishment figure. All the others have been senators or governors or have had experience. Here is a prominent billionaire who comes from nowhere.
But Nebraska senator, when he comes out and open and says that I am not supporting him, at this particular juncture, what difference does it make, or does it?
No, I think Trump has to establish his reputation. So if people of a certain stature, for instance, if the Bush, whether the elder Mr. Bush or former President Mr. Bush, they say we are not going to support Trump. Others come, it will have an impact on his reputation within the party.
Okay. So basically, whether it's Hillary versus Trump or Trump versus Ted, let's now take a short break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about where does the Democrats and Republicans they stand? Where do they stand? What is their position as far as the major contentious issues are concerned, the issues which are going to play a decisive factor or a decisive role in terms of deciding who really walks up to the White House after this break.
बहुत बहुत बधाई हो, आपने अपने बच्चों को पोलियो से बचा लिया। लेकिन जब तक दुनिया में पोलियो का एक भी केस है, पोलियो का खतरा बना हुआ है। इसीलिए अब सरकार देश में पोलियो इंजेक्शन की शुरुआत कर रही है, ताकि आपके बच्चे को मिले डबल सुरक्षा। अब अपने 1 साल से छोटे बच्चे को टीकाकरण सत्र में पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन। क्यों राधा, इससे क्या होगा पता है ना?
हाँ दीदी, पोलियो से डबल सुरक्षा हमेशा के लिए।
याद रहे, पोलियो की तीसरी खुराक के साथ जरूर दिलवाएं पोलियो का इंजेक्शन।
अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने पास के स्वास्थ्य केंद्र, ANM या आशा दीदी से संपर्क करें।
किशोर अवस्था हम सब की जिंदगी का बहुत ही अहम पड़ाव होता है, जिसमें हम सब बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण शारीरिक और मानसिक बदलावों से गुजरते हैं। इस उम्र में खून की कमी यानी अनीमिया काफी आम है, जिसके कारण कमजोरी, चिड़चिड़ापन और थकान जैसी शिकायतें आती हैं। सप्ताह में एक बार IFA की नीली गोली लेना किशोर अवस्था में विकास के लिए सहायक होता है। ये नीली गोली शासकीय शालाओं, आंगनबाड़ी केंद्रों और शासकीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाओं में निशुल्क मिलती है। मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आप सब किशोर और किशोरियां साप्ताहिक IFA की इस नीली गोली का सेवन जरूर करेंगे।
मैं अमिताभ बच्चन आज आपके सामने वो कहने जा रहा हूं जो मैंने पहले कभी नहीं कहा। मैं एक रोगी, हेपेटाइटिस बी का रोगी। 1982 में कुली फिल्म की शूटिंग के दौरान मेरे साथ एक दुर्घटना हुई। ऑपरेशन करवाना पड़ा और मेरे शरीर में 60 बोतल खून चढ़ाया गया। खून का कोई एक सैंपल हेपेटाइटिस बी इन्फेक्टेड था, जो मेरे लिवर तक पहुंच गया। कई सालों बाद आम जांच के दौरान जब इसका पता चला, तो मुझे यह भी पता चला कि मेरा 1/4 लिवर ही बचा हुआ है। लेकिन सही इलाज के बाद आज मैं आपके सामने खड़ा हूं और काम कर रहा हूं। हेपेटाइटिस बी से बचने का पहला उपाय है शिशु के जन्म पर पहला टीका लगवाएं और पहले साल में 3 और नियमित टीके लगवाएं। ये आपका पहला कदम होना चाहिए। मुफ्त टीकाकरण के लिए अपने पास के स्वास्थ्य केंद्र जाएं और पूरी जानकारी लें। देखिए, ये जो हेपेटाइटिस बी है, इससे हम डरेंगे नहीं, लड़ेंगे।
उंगली थाम के जिसने चलना सिखाया, कड़ी मेहनत करके हमको पढ़ाया, हमारी खुशियों को अपनी खुशी बनाया, जिंदगी के हर सुख दुख में जो एक साया बनकर साथ रहे, ढलती उम्र में इन्हें अकेला ना छोड़ें। ध्यान रखें, माता पिता एवं वरिष्ठ नागरिक भरण पोषण एवं कल्याण अधिनियम 2007 के तहत माता पिता की देखभाल करना हमारा कर्तव्य है और उनको बेसहारा छोड़ना एक दंडनीय अपराध है। सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
Welcome back. You're watching Late Edition, and now let's talk about the issues which have actually seen a vertical split between Republicans and Democrats. And when we talk about the issues, the top one, of course, comes gun control, immigration, Syrian refugees, etc. So let me come to you first. How do you think now these issues are going to play a decisive role for both the rival factions, considering their positions on certain issues?
When I really look at the social phenomenon of America, and we discussed this earlier, what is making people angry or anxious, there are some important issues. The first is really the median income, and as we discussed earlier, though the economy may be doing well, people's salary levels where they are is stagnant. They haven't bettered their lives for the first time in American history in that sense. So here both policies have different prescriptions, how to really improve the quality of life. That would be number one. Now Trump partly blames this of what is happening in American economy also on immigration. That's where it comes in. He feels that the ordinary American worker, particularly white worker, is losing his jobs, and there are the Mexican and other migrants coming in. And there again, there will be big differences on both sides on the immigration issue.
But he has made very provocative remarks in a couple of rallies, openly calling these are Mexicans in the rally, etc.
Yes, I think he is an unpredictable, impulsive person, and therefore I'm sure that he will shift his positions as he goes along. But related to that also is this question of America's place in the world. Because as we know, he always says that in every deal we are the losers, and China is taking our jobs, India is taking our jobs, Mexico, Japan. And if I come to power, this is what Trump says, I will make sure that the Americans win and we don't become losers. Now, these are all extreme and provocative statements which will attract attention. And also in terms of personalities, Hillary is a very reasoned, seasoned, rational kind of a person. She's a policy wonk. On every issue, she knows every side of the argument. Another issue really is this question of the Washington itself.
Okay.
Trump would say that everything is a gridlock, as they call it in Washington. People are fighting, these politicians. We don't need a political class. We need a business person who can take decisions, who can move the agenda forward. Hillary, on the other hand, has been in politics all her life. She has been in the White House. So I think there is not only policies, even in terms of personalities, there are big differences.
Contrasting style, Nasser, now taking from here, contrasting styles in terms of background, contrasting styles in terms of policies, and also extreme contrast in terms of credentials. You've got Hillary Clinton, more seasoned, as Sir has put it, and you've got a billionaire businessman pitted against each other. On the policy format, what's your reading into it? Specifically, the issues that are going to cut ice with the American electorate this time around.
Trump is the candidate, it is any journalist's delight. For example, there is a website called Gawker. They managed to trick, few days ago, they managed to trick Trump into tweeting a quote from Benito Mussolini because he mistook that quote as one of his own, you know. Similarly, he is getting into all sorts of flaps, you see. But on policy, which was your previous question.
But that brilliant term was just a pass. We didn't have to read too much into that. All right, sir. Sure.
Gun control. I mean, Trump is very vocal on gun control, but that's part of his tactics, you know, because I don't think in the, although it's a constitutional right, the right to bear arms, it is not going to bring the Republicans any dividends in the general election, because see, the gun lobby, the states that are part of the gun lobby are essentially in the South. And those are Republican states anyway. In order to become president, Trump needs to make inroads into New York, California, the Eastern Seaboard. And these are the states where the anti-gun lobby is very strong. You know?
Right.
So on a number of things, if Trump is to win in the November election, he will eventually have to change his policy prescriptions.
So, which leads to the question that Trump may not be a trump card for Republicans. It's not going to be that easy a call for Trump because, as our experts just put in, well, there are many turfs where he has still to make inroads. Well, opinion polls, whether they stand true or not, only time will tell. Here we're going to slip into another short break. Stay with us.
अस्पताल में गंदगी हो सकती है, कुछ छूना मत और बीमार पड़ जाओगी।
अरे दीदी, अब सब बदल रहा है।
इतनी साफ सफाई?
जी, हम सब ने मेहनत की है ताकि आपके इलाज में कोई कमी ना आए।
बदल रहा है, बदल रहे हैं। स्वास्थ्य केंद्र अब स्वच्छ हो रहे हैं और ये आपके ब्लॉक में भी संभव है। बस पहल करनी पड़ेगी, हमको और आपको भी। स्वच्छता का संकल्प करें, स्वास्थ्य केंद्र का कायाकल्प।
दीदी ये देखो।
H1N1 फ्लू को फैलने से रोका जा सकता है। खांसी और छींक के बाद और बच्चे को छूने से पहले अपने हाथों को साबुन से धोकर H1N1 फ्लू को फैलने से रोक सकते हैं।
इन्फेक्शन रोको, बनो हीरो। इलाज सिर्फ चुने हुए अस्पतालों में उपलब्ध। उंगली थाम के जिसने चलना सिखाया, कड़ी मेहनत करके हमको पढ़ाया, हमारी खुशियों को अपनी खुशी बनाया, जिंदगी के हर सुख दुख में जो एक साया बनकर साथ रहे। ढलती उम्र में इन्हें अकेला ना छोड़ें। ध्यान रखें, माता पिता एवं वरिष्ठ नागरिक भरण पोषण एवं कल्याण अधिनियम 2007 के तहत माता पिता की देखभाल करना हमारा कर्तव्य है और उनको बेसहारा छोड़ना एक दंडनीय अपराध है। सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
Welcome back. Let's quickly have last comments, last remarks from our panelists. Sir, from you first. Anything new, or perhaps the takeaway from this particular Super Tuesday, something that U.S. elections or primaries has seen for the first time since you've been an ex-diplomat also. What's your assessment of this particular Super Tuesday?
This Super Tuesday is likely to see the emergence not in the sense that they are unknown, but in terms of taking a clear lead of two important personalities, and their contrast, as we discussed a moment ago, is amazing. They are very different. One is unpredictable, generally completely impulsive, has no tolerance for policy. The other, which is Hillary, is a policy wonk. Everything she says is measured. She always kind of takes very careful positions. So if they both become candidates eventually, tomorrow's thing will show the clear lead and will perhaps give them sufficient momentum to consolidate their positions when the nominations come for the party. That were to happen, I think tomorrow will be in that sense an energizing day for both of them. Their fates will be known, and of course then there is a long process still, but then we will see a contrast in styles, and both of them also changing positions after tomorrow, if they are in the lead.
Okay. So
the significance of this Super Tuesday, in my view, is that if Donald Trump consolidates his position as he is likely to do, it will make the Republican Party schizophrenic because it is good for Trump, but there are at least 8 Senate candidates who are in the balance, and they need to consolidate their position, and Trump's strengthening his situation will undercut them, which could mean that the Senate could go back to the Democrats. On the Republicans, on the Democratic side, the significance of this Super Tuesday is that Hillary will consolidate her position. As a result, from today, she's actually started looking for the vice presidential running mate. So Hillary is entering the next phase of the campaign, where she's preparing to be not only the candidate but possibly the next president of the United States.
All right, on that note, I thank both of my panelists, B.S. Prakash, former senior diplomat, and also K.P. Nair, consulting editor, Telegraph, for joining me on the show. Well, as if you may really have to put it this way, the way to White House, maybe after this particular Super Tuesday, will have little clarity as to who will walk and how the walk is going to be eventually turn out to be. Thank you very much, both of you. And with that, we wrap up Late Edition tonight. Meanwhile, news and updates continue on DD News. Stay tuned to DD News. Namaskar.